Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yes. Not that you need it now. Well, you could do a chickpea omelet.
We are getting ready to live stream on YouTube. I have one more person in the waiting room. They're joining now.
Beautiful.
It is 7:01 p.m.
That's Chad telling me to get serious.
Dining Inside Out begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dining Inside Out. My name is Sarah Hassler, and I am one of the co-founders of Dining Inside Out. I started this business with Chef Luke Houghton, who is a friend and now business partner of mine. And we started this on the day that the mandate came down to close restaurants in New York State. We weren't sure what to do, as all restaurants weren't sure what to do when that happened. But we knew we had to do something. And so we had some bourbon and talked a lot and determined that what people would need more than anything was respite and connection, and just each other. You know, being quarantined was a very new experience. We had no idea what was coming, but we knew that we would need human connection. And that's one of the things that restaurants provide. It's not something that, you know, is glamorized the way that the food is or the chefs are or whatever. But it is really the purpose of restaurants is to restore yourself by being waited on, having service, and eating with other people. It's the second most intimate thing you can do with another person. I'll leave that open to interpretation. And so we decided to take restaurants online and create dining experiences and sensory experiences virtually and allow people to connect over the food that they were eating, regardless of what that food actually was. So we called a few chef friends and we started this, we ran our first one on April 3rd. We are happy, as two vegetable forward chefs, we are very happy to present a plant-based edition. So welcome to the vegan community and welcome to those of you returning just because it's a Dining Inside Out event. You're awesome. What we found by doing this the first time was really surprising, not something we expected. Maybe it was the bourbon, I don't know. But we discovered the importance of forging and reforging connections with people and leaning into other people because they make us brighter and better. And we need that. So it was really a way to find bright spots in dark times. And those bright spots continue to get brighter as the times get lighter. It's relative and beautiful. And I have noticed that in particular, and I'll explain more in a bit. I do want to explain about table assignments. If you are just joining us, each party has been assigned to a table. So you were given the opportunity to choose your own table and say, I just want to sit with so-and-so. If you did that, you have your own table. If you didn't do that, I assigned you a table. And I put you with a group of strangers, maybe not strangers, within close proximity to you that are going to be eating the same food and are here for the same reason, pretty much. I will work on it, Brooke, I promise. We always offer a vegetarian option on all of our Dining Inside Out events because we are vegetable forward chefs as the founders, so it's important to us. More on that later. Anyway, so the table assignments, you're going to be allowed to basically be dismissed to your table after we plate each individual course. There's an option for you to select, yes, I'd like to go to my table. What that means is you're going to pop into a different room with the people that are seated at your table and just video chat with those people. It is just a chance for you to chat and say whether or not you like the food, and the chefs aren't there, so it's totally fine. The rest of the time during the main dining room, which is where you are right now, you will be muted, vehemently muted. I'm vicious, sorry. But just to keep things going and make sure that we get fed, right? Hopefully you enjoyed your popcorn, your cheese boxes, your cocktails. Thank you so much to Chris Johnson for demonstrating that, and to Mitchell Berger for painstakingly discussing each cheese. Thank you so much, that was beautiful, well done. Hair looks great today. All right, so forging new relationships and reforging old ones. There's a whole lot of that in this dinner for me, personally. So the first chef up today is Chef Drew Stahersky, who is so young that I'm not even going to mention how young he is. But he first came to, I met him at Glenora Wine Cellars when I was the sous chef there. And he chose our restaurant as a place that he wanted to be an extern for. He was studying at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, which is also where I went to school, and where Chef Orlando Rodriguez, the executive chef at the time, he also went to school there. So we like to take CIA kids and put them through the gauntlet and make life really hard for them and make them better, hopefully. So we took Drew on as an extern, and he was actually the second extern ever there. I was the first. You're welcome. Anyway, I did all the paperwork. Anyway, so we put Drew through the ringer, and I was a recent grad, and I don't know, something like 10 years younger. So really more voracious and passionate than I am even now. And especially about cooking on both sides, whether it's, you know, savory or pastry. I believe that you should learn both. I believe that you should understand the science behind food, no matter what it is, because it would make you better and it would help you feed the next dish. And more than anything, I was starting to really become passionate about dietary restrictions and feeding everyone at a table. Regardless of what they chose to eat or didn't, or what they could eat or couldn't. They should be able to sit at the same table and enjoy that food. I remember distinctly having an old chef walk up to the kitchen. Maybe you remember this, Drew, but walk up to the kitchen in a walker to shake my hand. He was in his like late 80s, to shake my hand back in the kitchen at Parisians, because we fed his granddaughter non-dairy ice cream. It was the first time she ever had ice cream. She was 5 years old and had never had ice cream until she came to our restaurant, and he wanted to shake my hand, which was just the most amazing feeling, and I will never forget that. So I'm wicked passionate about feeding people who can't eat just anything. I get that. And I was lucky enough to meet Drew, who came to me preloaded with talent and fire and nonsense and a whole lot of attitude that I tried to beat out of him, but didn't work. And he just got better. So he is now the chef at Bottomless Brewing Company, which is a brewery in Geneva, New York. And they are about to launch a 100% plant-based kitchen inside of a brewery, which is unheard of in the Finger Lakes, and really just amazingly impressive. I'm really proud of you. And I want everyone here to know that, so that you can go and visit. And it's not just because it's plant-based. This place is awesome. It is beautiful. And Carrie did all the plumbing inside. She's like a superhero. I'll get into it later. But I'm just saying, I went and visited and blown away, really blown away. And the beer is delicious. So all the things. All right, so Drew, we are going to ask everybody to get up and move into their kitchens so that everybody can start to reheat and plate the food with you. Are you ready, sir?
Yep, we're just gonna switch over to our cell phone camera and we'll be all set.
Awesome. Okay. I said sir, but I meant chef, just so you know. It's just weird for me to call you chef. I'll get there. But yes. All right. So switching to a different camera.
I'm eating the computer.
That's fine. That's good. There you go.
There you go. You're in it.
All right. Hi, Drew. Welcome. Chad, can we feature Bottomless Brewing there? Thank you so much. All right. You are live and in charge, chef. Do it.
We're ready to go.
So hopefully everybody's been moved into their kitchen. This is a dish that we're going to do mostly on the stove, right, chef?
Yeah, it's gonna be all on the stove actually.
Perfect.
You're gonna need
All
two
right. So
two pans.
this is the first time you've ever used induction live?
Oh yeah, I turned it on earlier to see how it works. It's just an on-off button. It's pretty.
Okay, good. There should be like a plus sign or something to like turn up the temperature.
Cranked it up to 11.
There you go. That's nice. This one goes to 11. Boom.
Anyway, so you're gonna take your jackfruit, toss it into one of your pans. You just wanna
What's
ask,
in this jackfruit?
what is jackfruit?
Well, what is jackfruit and then what's in it? I'm just curious.
Well, jackfruit is a tropical fruit which doesn't look anything like this when it's fresh. It can be like 80 pounds one fruit. It's this huge, like spiky orb.
Wow.
We use canned jackfruit because fresh jackfruit, by the time it gets to the United States, it's like already way too ripe to make anything savory with.
So
this
where
is-
does this grow?
was that?
Where does it grow?
It's tropical. I think usually from Thailand. I think it's native to southern India.
Hmm.
But anyway, so we're getting that heating over a medium heat with a little splash of water in there so that it doesn't stick. Make sure
So
you're out of-
unripe jackfruit you can find where?
you can find it at Wegmans. I don't know if other grocery stores carry it or not, but I can show you what a can looks like.
I would love to see a can.
Wegmans definitely carries it, and the Asian market's a good place to get it too.
Definitely. But you're looking for the young, unripe jackfruit. If you've never purchased before, you don't want the sweet stuff. The young unripe has this texture of an artichoke and sort of similar flavor. Perfect, Drew. Thank you so much.
Wegmans also sells it fresh too.
Oh,
Is
really?
that something you can use for this?
Can you
Maybe
use
not
fresh,
now, but
Drew?
occasionally.
No, because normally fresh is already too ripe by the time it gets over here. So it's going to be too sweet and sticky. I tried it once,
Starch is converting to sugar. Yeah.
but it's delicious fresh, just that one as a snack on its own.
Awesome. All right. So we've got the jackfruit working.
Got jackfruit going, the other pan's on a medium high heat, and we're going to use that to toast the tortillas. You want a completely dry pan. Don't put anything in it, just the pan.
That seems scary.
I know it's scary, but it's okay. Be all right.
Okay.
That's
got-
not the way I heat them up.
No, how do you heat them up, Chef?
I do them directly over the flame. I'm at
Okay,
600
his
stuff.
way is scarier. His way is
Way scarier. Yeah, this one's simple.
There you go.
Beautiful. Yeah, nice flames, Drew. Very nice flames. I'm putting one in there, I promise.
I know. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
You just want to stir your jackfruit occasionally so it doesn't stick or burn or anything. But
So by adding the water, do you feel like that dilutes the flavor at all?
maybe a tiny bit, but by the time it's done heating up, that water's evaporated, so it doesn't really
Right.
change it.
Beautiful.
So go ahead and toss the tortilla in that pan now.
Why are we heating the tortillas?
Because they're delicious when they're heated.
Well, that was the right answer. Okay, so heating the tortillas in a dry pan. Could you microwave them? Would you recommend that?
Ideally, no, but you can. I mean, it's not going to be a big deal. You just want to wrap it up so they don't burn in the microwave.
Right, right. Paper towel, that helps. So in that barbecue sauce, I know you went with like an Asian sort of flair, right?
Yeah, so it's a tangier barbecue sauce. You're gonna get like a tang from the Dijon mustard, but then there's also a spice from cayenne and a different kind of spice from ginger as well. That's primarily what you're gonna taste is that like tangy spiciness.
Hmm.
And then the
So-
slaw goes on top. The slaw is acidic from lime juice, so it's gonna cut through that spice. And then you're gonna have the chorizo, which is like another more complex, different kind of spice, more of like a like cinnamon kind of spice, not like a heat spice.
Right. Beautiful.
The aioli is sweeter, so altogether it's this nice package of all these different flavors and textures.
Right, which I really think is missing from a lot of vegan food. Like it's typically the texture is just sort of mushy.
Yeah,
Um,
texture.
Yeah. So
Especially in wintertime.
yeah, because it's all just rice and beans, I feel. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, not that that's, I mean, dal and beans or dal and rice I'm in, but Drew, what, I know you left the kitchen for a number of years. Can you talk about that experience? Like why are you back? What caused you to leave?
Yeah, so I left because I was making a lot of vegan food, but I was also having to work with animal products every single day. And for a while, I was able to just do it. I don't know, I would like flip a switch in my mind or something and just do it because of my job, you know. But then it started to wear away at me, and finally, I was just in a bad place mentally, and I couldn't really do it anymore. So I left and actually went to work at Farm Sanctuary, and I've been there for almost 2 years now.
What did you do at Farm Sanctuary?
I was a farm assistant there. So my primary job was to clean the barns, but secondary part of that job was doing animal transports and rescues. So I've gone all up and down the East Coast transporting animals to and from homes, rescuing them from bad situations.
So you would find, or Farm Sanctuary would find animals that were in a really bad situation, and you would go and save them?
Yeah.
You got
And-
to be a superhero, like, and get paid for it?
Yeah, I get overtime for it.
That's awesome. Rock on. Okay. So what, I mean, to train at CIA is expensive and a huge commitment. I mean, they put you through a lot of rigor. And just surviving it is something, and you're not necessarily a chef when you come out of it. Was that a lot to walk away from?
Yeah, it was definitely scary to make that change, but there wasn't really like a plant-based cooking option for me in this area, and I wanted to stay in the Finger Lakes because I love this region. So I figured going towards a different one of my passions, which is helping animals, was the right choice for me. And it
Right.
was, because I was a lot happier over the last couple of years. Now that Carrie and you reached out to me about Autonomous, I have the opportunity to like combine both of my passions into one, and promote, veganism and saving animals, while also cooking delicious food.
Yay, delicious food and also saving animals. Awesome. So now you get to be a superhero in the kitchen.
Yeah, more or less.
That's pretty cool. And this is the
Yeah.
first kitchen that you're going to be the executive chef of.
Was that?
This is the first kitchen you're going to be like the executive chef of, right?
Yeah, because I was sous chef at Glenora, but the first executive.
That's a pretty big step. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, so
You're welcome.
these are hot now. So I got them on the plate. I just very lightly toasted them so they're not soft anymore. They have a little bit of crispiness to them. And I got the fruit also hot, so I'm just gonna divvy that up between the two tortillas. I'm gonna break out that slaw. This is super simple. It's just red cabbage, carrots, lime juice, salt, pepper. Put some
Beautiful.
of that taco. Then you have your garlic aioli. Squeeze some of that on top. It's coming out more of a dollop than a line, but that's okay.
No one would have noticed except you said it.
I have to point it out. I can't
All right,
not.
all right. I get it. Listen, I think it took a lot to get that aioli into those bags. I'm not positive, but I think it took a lot.
It was a lot.
There it is.
And last but not least, this walnut chorizo. Just a little bit of each taco.
What's
a
in
lot.
the walnut chorizo?
Yeah. You can't downplay the walnut chorizo. You got to talk about that because that stuff is
Mhm.
killer.
So obviously, like it's made from walnuts. So I grind them up in the food processor into just smaller pieces, and then I cook it with apple cider vinegar, cumin, coriander, cinnamon, allspice, a bunch of different spices. Like there's like 12 different spices in that.
Oh, really? Did you work for Sarah Hassler by chance?
The name rings.
Problem. Yeah. I learned from Michael Lanahan it's a problem as well.
I will tell you, I ate that walnut chorizo without anything else the other day and tacos. It was amazing.
But yeah, so there's your tacos. And I'm
Boom.
gonna eat these. So
Awesome. I'm excited for you to eat them.
I'm gonna dig in right now.
Rock on.
I'm excited too because Sarah didn't leave me a box.
What do you mean I didn't leave you a box? Yes, I did. I put you on the list.
I don't know about that.
No?
No,
There's definitely food there. You have all the food.
I had all the food. It's fine.
You have all the food. All right, we're done. Chad, I've got a message from Michael that he's looking for a response from you.
For me.
Hopefully you're
Oh,
alive. No,
okay.
from Chad.
Never mind. Got it. I'm good.
Heard. Thank you.
This
Are you
is
the tech guy? All right. So awesome. Thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you.
So we are now going to open the tables back up. Chad, if you would let people have the option of heading back to their tables and mowing down on the food. If you want to stay in the main dining room, you are welcome to. We are going to swap over to Carrie Fisher, the owner of Bottomless Brewing Company, and have her chat about her amazing lagers. So hopefully, Carrie, you're ready for that transition.
We are on the way.
Awesome. Love it.
coming
Thank you.
We are not muted.
No, it's totally fine. Totally fine. You look great.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Carrie Fisher, and I'm half owner of Bottomless Brewing. I also make alcohol. So I'm super excited to have, be a part of Dining Inside Out, plant-based edition. And what I'd like to do is pour you a couple of the selections that we've passed with here. So
Cool.
here we go.
So we did the Bohemian Pilsner, right? That's your like signature.
So you can see the color in this. This is a beautiful German lager, and you can see the carbonation going up. It's very pretty, and it's German grain, German hops, and also German yeast. But lagers go great with tacos. So if you decide that you want to squeeze a little lime in there, we're not going to judge. It's not. It's a German lager, but it's okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Before you pour the next one, Carrie, can you tell me? So I know lagers take longer. Like most microbreweries are not making lagers because I know they take longer to ferment. Can you talk about that? Like, this is something really special that you make in particular. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Lagers do take a little bit longer to ferment. It's a top fermenting yeast versus a bottom fermenting yeast. And then we need a colder fermentation. It takes a little bit longer to make the lager. So we have a lot of fermentation tanks. We can actually take a little rollover. You want to follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's do it.
So this woman like climbs into all these tanks like a
Literally.
total monkey. It's awesome. It's
Sorry.
awesome. This is amazing. Sometimes I feel like I'm on roller skates at work, but I don't actually know how to use those.
Do you always wear roller skates at work?
Curbside deliver, and when I was 20. So those two things are now like colliding in my life. I'm alive 20 again, and it's just beautiful.
It's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, when we're open for regular business, I do not wear roller. Here we are. We have 9 fermentation tanks, and because of the amount of space that we have to ferment, we don't have to rush our beers. So it's really kind of cool. We have time to pack the beer cold lager, and
How many gallons are in one of those tanks?
it's 495, so basically 500 gallons full.
That's a lot of beer.
It's a bit of beer.
Yeah.
So because of our amount of fermentation space, we're allowed to be able to let the beer do what it wants to do and give it time to ferment in a longer fermentation at colder temperatures. So it's really kind of neat.
Very cool. Very cool. This is not something that you find at most microbrews where they're adding, a bunch of pineapple and jalapenos and stuff, just maybe a 50-gallon batch. This is something where like it really has the time to do the whole process and become beautiful beer, in my opinion.
I would say absolutely. Most places that are micro brew pubs probably don't have the amount of fermentation space that we do have. And this is what helps us to be able to do lagers better than
Right.
places are able to do, because they have to push their beer through really quick. Where we
Right.
can let it and take the time that it needs to be able to ferment.
Because you're in a barn, right? Like you're in a renovated barn.
Yeah. And it actually was a dairy barn from 1959.
So we just turned a dairy barn from 1959 into a plant-based brewery and restaurant. So that's like the vegan dream, right? Like to go from being a dairy farm into a vegan restaurant. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
Got it.
So it was 2 years of construction on the barn, and then we were really excited to be able to start the brewery. And I've had I'm sorry, I'm still rolling.
It's fine.
Close contact, there's close feelings with animals all my life. I kind of grew up on a hobby farm, if you will.
Right.
And then I was the only vegetarian in my school district as a child for a lot of years. And I'm surprised I'm alive because I grew up on Wonder Bread, white Wonder Bread, individually wrapped Kraft cheese slices and sandwiches for 9 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And yet still here. You
I'm
probably
still-
won't die actually. Like there's so much in there. Like you might be immortal.
Yeah, but the really exciting thing for us is that after everybody's having a tough time with this pandemic, and after getting to this place and having to take a break, to reevaluate, kitchen's been open for a year, and I have a 50% business partner, and I've actually been able to talk him into the new way, and I'm really excited to be able to bring plant-based eating 100% and introducing plant-based eating to the Finger Lakes.
Awesome.
Like
Yeah.
this opportunity
Super exciting.
we've had, it's really exciting for me.
Totally.
And then to meet Drew, who is a vegan chef, and there's not too many of those in the region.
No.
So it's awesome. We're really, really super stoked.
Awesome. Love it. All right, let's pour some more beer.
Yeah, all right, let's do it. I'm gonna roll on by and we'll go back to your
Beth, I can't imagine the struggle of being the only vegetarian at summer camp. I can tell you that I was vegetarian when I started at CIA. And the only thing that they feed you at culinary school when you're vegetarian is mushrooms over polenta. So 2 weeks later, I was no longer vegetarian. They
Okay.
beat it out of me.
So we talked
French
about
fries and salad.
you want to pour
So bad.
time inside of a German Pilsner. It's not a Mexican Pilsner. It's not a Corona. We're not going to judge. It's okay. All right. Now, this is the box here. So this is a German brown lager. Also has German malt, German hops, German yeast in it. You can see there's a little bit of a reddish tone. The hop quality is quite low, so you're not going to taste a lot of hops in it. But it's delicious, and we think it pairs well with the curry because it's just got a nice malty freshness that'll balance with the spiciness of the curry.
Cool. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Cider, right?
Let's
For
do
our
it.
gluten-free people, because we have lots of vegan, gluten-free folks online.
We love vegan, gluten-free people.
Love the name of this one. This is great.
All right. Now the cider. Okay. So the cider is made from all 100% red jacket apples,
Nice.
and which is from Geneva, New York as well. They deliver us 250-gallon totes at a time. And then what we do is put in a dry English cider yeast. And we ferment it all the way down. We carbonate it very little. So it's almost like a champagne. There's no sweetness left in here because we ferment all the way down to the bottom. And then it's a nice cider. So we paired it up with the dessert. It's going to be dry. We've always done a dry cider here. So it's the only cider we've made to date, but we might get experimental in the future. One never knows.
Experimental at 500-gallon batches. That's some serious experimentation.
Sure. Yeah.
Very cool. Love it.
So
Cheers.
Carrie,
Thank you
Carrie,
so
why-
much.
Don't let her go
Go ahead.
yet. I want to know why she started doing this.
Why did I start doing this?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just wanted an adventure.
Oh, you got it.
You got an adventure, girl. That's for sure. Love it.
I mean, it's wonderful. It's really fun to be, to have a place in the Finger Lakes. It's big wine and beer distribution trail. And for us to be able to go completely plant-based is absolutely phenomenal. I feel like we're really going to bring it mainstream into the Finger Lakes. And that's
Awesome.
a big goal at this point. So we're really excited about it.
Carrie, somebody asked any significance of the SA hat.
That's a,
Your
I
hat.
don't know. Is that what
oh, well, I've been there.
she's been there? All right then.
Yeah, I bought the hat in South Africa. I have been there. I just
Okay.
happened to have it on today because I didn't wash my hair.
Well, now we all know. It's fine. This is the new normal. I was just told about it earlier. I was supposed to look more like Jimmy Fallon than Vanna White. That was the goal. You're doing a great job of that. All right. So let's take this to Chad. I want to check in with you. How are we doing on Michael?
Michael has turned off his Wi-Fi because it doesn't work well, and apparently everything is doing well now on his phone on LTE. So as
Love
far as I
that.
know, Michael should be good to go.
Excellent. So let's just check in with him. So everybody, we're going back to the kitchen. So we're going to take this time to pull back from the tables back into the main dining room and get ready to cook the next course, to warm up the next course, together with Chef Michael Lanahan at The Cellar in Corning, New York. I feel like he might be here. I feel the Michael coming on.
His video has turned on, and I've
Okay,
asked him to
I'm
unmute.
muted.
There he is.
Hey, am I there?
You are there.
You are.
Oh my gosh. The technology gods have shined on us in this moment. Hi, everybody.
Beautiful. Hi.
So we're going to make a centuries-old dish called Rogan Josh. This is a really old, I think it originated, it's a berry dish. It originated in Persia. And it's super flavorful. There's tons and tons of different spices in there. And Rogan is classically clarified butter, but in the place of the clarified butter, I used a nice coconut oil. And Josh is hot. Also, you can kind of construe that as passionate, right? And every single vegan that I know is very passionate about life, right? So I felt like this was a very fitting dish for today. So this is a really simple little reheat. Everybody, let's start with our rice. We'll open our rice packet. The rice is a mix of purple sticky rice and basmati rice with coconut oil. We will put a little bit of water in our pan first. I just put enough to cover the bottom of the pan, maybe about a 1/4 inch tops. We're gonna get that heated up really nicely. How we cooked this, it was very simple. I put coconut oil in a pan, a hotel style pan or baking dish. And I soaked the rice overnight to get a nice pre-ferment going. And then put the rice in the pan and added coconut milk right out of the can. Beautiful stuff. And baked it in the oven covered at about 400 degrees for just about an hour. And then pulled it out, cooled it. And this is one of my most favorite rice dishes. So as our water comes up to temp and starts to simmer a little bit, we just want to get that simmering first so the rice doesn't stick so bad to the pan. I'm just going to drop this guy right in there. Break it up a little bit. You can break it up with your spoon, right? Boom. And then put a little cover on there. This is classic restaurant cover here.
I wanted to note that because
Yeah.
so at home we often use the matching lid to the matching pan, but at the restaurant we're like, whatever it is, just get the thing covered. It doesn't matter.
Just get the thing
what's
covered.
handy.
It doesn't look, does it seal pretty good? Yeah, that's good enough. Go.
It's fine.
Pass it
Go.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
So while our rice is heating up a little bit, right? Just gonna open up this nice curry here.
Very full.
Smells yummy. Lots of spices in this. My goodness.
So this is based on Kashmiri cuisine, right? Like from the Kashmir region?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Spicy.
And so definitely spicy. And I think that Rogan definitely translates to clarified butter in one of the languages, but in the other it means red too. So like that's what that like
Yes.
classic color you got there.
Absolutely. This is just
Beautiful.
a beautiful dish. This is one of my favorite go-tos whenever I go out to an Indian restaurant. It's like a Rogan Josh dish.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So we got our pan warming.
Michael, can you talk about the
Put
spices
that
a little
all
bit?
in there. You know, we can.
Michael, what sort of spices are in your curry mix here?
It would be a shorter list if I just listed the ones that were not in the curry. So the flavors that
because
are
I
going to be
learned from
dominant,
him.
right, are going to be cinnamon, a lot of cardamom. We put some black cardamom in there. It's got a really deep, almost fermented flavor, super medicinal. I just put a little water in my curry bowl here and swirled it around. And that'll help heat that up and bring it back to the right consistency of the boiling.
I noticed that it almost
Also-
reminded me of mole too.
It does
What I
have
want
that
to
like
do here
sort
is
of
just give a little
consistency.
cover. So I heard
So I don't-
I heard my rice talking to me that the water had left the pan, the water had left the building. So I just turned the rice off and I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes with the cover on to kind of steam and help that rice really release from the bottom of the pan. Okay.
Beautiful.
And I have my curry covered as well. And it's not hot yet because this pan is not hot. So it's just on a medium heat. With that little bit of water, it'll really help it come back to the right consistency that we're looking for. So the curry itself, there's cumin, coriander, cardamom. We put some Aleppo pepper, some paprika,
Yes.
some smoked paprika. What else did we put in there? God, coriander. Did I say coriander once?
Yeah, you did.
I
And
think I
cardamom
did.
twice,
Okay.
but you,
I really
but you
like
meant
coriander.
it. I know.
And so
I know.
because I like it so much, we put cilantro in there, right? And there's onions and ginger and garlic and ginger and
So
ginger. Yeah.
hang on a minute there. So for anybody who has either eaten my food or cooked under me, like as far as my recipes, so I learned one of the first chefs I ever worked for was Michael Lanahan, and he is the spice king. I learned from him. So if you think my recipes are bad,
Want me to show them?
his are 10
So
times.
come on with me here. Come on. Check it
There,
out.
that's Kenyan.
It's so real.
So we've got
It's so
our
real.
spices here. What we do, we like to grind everything from fresh, like so our black cardamom is whole cardamom, and what we'll do is toast that and grind it as we need it. The whole spices, like your whole allspice seeds, it really locks in the flavor. And then once you toast those seeds, it kind of starts that action. It's like becoming alive again, like Frankenstein, and
Totally. You're
you know,
releasing the oils, man.
releasing those oils, releasing that flavor, all the stuff that's already pre-ground on the grocery shelf, that's been pre-ground for God knows how long, and it's pretty much dead. So what you really want to do is buy as much as you can in a whole spice, like buy whole dried chilies and grind them yourself, toast them, grind them. It's a real beautiful thing. And it adds
Totally.
a whole new complexity to everything you want to cook. I kid you not.
Love it.
So back to my
Love it.
dish over here.
Spice king.
I think everything's pretty hot at this point, right? Looks like my curry's nice. I have a nice sauce consistency there.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So the chickpeas in there, they're organic from Timeless Foods. They have a fantastic array of heirloom varietal beans and fantastic people. They're in the Midwest and super nice guys, gals. So Here we go. This is a really easy plate. Use our handy dandy all-purpose. First, we're going to put our rice down. Because we let that rest a little bit, the rice is releasing nicely from the bottom of the pan. Okay. Boom. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Oh, it smells so divine.
Why is the rice purple, chef?
That's an heirloom varietal purple sticky rice.
Beautiful.
So in here we have our heirloom chickpeas and some fingerling potato. I'm just gonna put that right on top there like that. Oh, it's gorgeous. Smells so good.
Beautiful.
And the next thing we're gonna do, we have this little raita. I'm gonna give it a little shake.
Hold on,
Shaky,
chef. What did you just
wakey,
say?
wakey.
Raita? What is raita?
Raita is a classic condiment, and it's usually made with yogurt. And what we have done is fermented cashews and used cashews instead of a yogurt base for this dish. The
Awesome.
fermentation of the cashews really adds that sweetness and deliciousness that you get from the cow's milk version. So it really is a great substitution. So we're just
Beautiful.
gonna pour this guy on here like so. Boom, the raita, that'll help with a little bit of the spiciness. So if it's a little too spicy for you, add more raita. These little crackers, little papadum, has chickpea flour with spices, and then toasted and baked. We'll just set that in nicely here. And voila. Chickpea
Wow,
rice
chef.
out of the cellar.
Yay!
Enjoys this dish.
Thank you so much.
I have something to
Beautiful,
say.
chef.
So you
Hold
don't
on.
fry those papadas? They're
Say
baked?
that again.
Those papadas are baked?
They're a fry and then bake. We drop them real quick in the fryer just to get that action to bubble, and then we throw them in the oven after and bake them off.
So they're basically like a Dorito, right, chef? This is what I've heard.
Yeah, they're basically like an Indian Dorito.
Indian Dorito. Done.
I love it.
Beautiful. So to eat that, like you're hoping to pick up the curry and the rice and everything on the papadum. That's the goal.
That would be the goal. Who doesn't love chips and dip?
Totally. Chips and dip.
Chips
That
and dip,
does it.
right?
That does it. Beautiful. All right. So at this time, we're going to open up the tables again. If you would like to go back and chat with your newfound friends, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to talk a little bit about Chef Michael Lanahan and my experience at the cellar as a young chef during this time. So if you want to stay and listen to me and Chad banter about the cellar and good times, you can, or you can go back to your room. I'm not offended either way. But so I started cooking at the cellar. It was actually my first job as an apprentice before I was a chef, before I went to school, before I met Orlando Rodriguez. Really the start of my chef journey was working at the cellar, not under Michael Lanahan at the time, but some creepy chef prior to that. Not good. Anyway, my job was 2 hours a day. I was stuffing fried olives. It wasn't you. No, it was not you. His name was Jim. Not good. Anyway, I'll explain why he was creepy. But so I used to stuff the fried olives, which we would like stuff with goat cheese, and then we would bread, and then they were ready to be dropped in the fryer. Whatever. That was my whole job for a decent amount of time. Until that chef asked me out on a date, which is not something you should do when you have anyone working under you. You don't ask those people on dates. Don't do it. It's bad practice. I left immediately, and I started working for Orlando Rodriguez. But I was still good friends with the owners of the cellar, and they eventually caught on to the fact that that guy was a creep and hired Michael Lanahan, and I had the opportunity to come back and work with him. And what a guy. I mean, obviously, Spice King really taught me so much, ignited the passion in me about cooking for different dietary restrictions. I had never even heard of vegan food as a 24-year-old. I had no idea what that was. And that was a long time ago. So, and his girlfriend, who would become his wife, Ellen, had celiacs, and she was the first person that I ever met who had celiac disease. And that was really inspiring for me too, because I saw firsthand the effect that had on her. Whether, you know, if we ate at a place that people would consider normal, she would have a reaction, and it would really ruin not just a couple of hours, but days for her. She would be affected. And that changed my perspective, and forced me to look at things differently, and ask more questions, ask why. You know, why is the food system this way? Why don't we have more ingredient transparency? Why isn't it easier to cook and know what you're cooking? That place really opened the door for me. And Chef Michael also forced me to be more creative inside of a very small space. When I started working there, we were a 20-seat tapas restaurant. And after I left, by the time I left, he had taken over ownership and become a 60-seat modern fine dining place with a lot of fusion, so much Indian flair, Asian flair, French, just like all good food that you just want to eat. The focus was that it was delicious and it was accessible, and multiple people could sit at one table and enjoy. And I loved crushing it on the line there. Chad, I don't know about your experience. I mean, as a not chef.
Yeah, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it. But at the same time, like, so I was working for Corning Inc. at the time in IT during the day, and needed some extra cash. And so my sister's like, well, do you want to come work on the line here at the cellar? Maybe we can do a part-time thing. I'm like, all right, well, all right, that'll be interesting. Let's try it. And what is it called? Is it garde manger? Was that
Garde
my
manger. It means the
that's-
guardian of the food.
Yes, it was my official role. So it was cool in the sense that I got to feel like Gordon Ramsay, because I would call out the orders. That was the coolest part of my job. And the most painful part of my job was cheese boards, because I remember specifically one night, I don't know, I think it was like 1,200 cheese board orders came through the machine at one time.
We were a 60-seat restaurant.
It's
No.
1,200 cheese board orders for the entire city of Corning. And so I am losing my mind, because as the tickets come in, I've got to read it off for the chefs that are working the actual difficult work, which is where, you know, the grills and the hot stuff. All I have is like salads, desserts, and the cheese boards. But then I just see like cheese board. These tickets are piling up, and I'm like, all right, board, boom, board, boom, board, boom. I've got like 17 boards lined up on this line. I got to start slicing this cheese. This is going to be fine. I'm losing my mind. And so I'm just sort of like, I'm muttering, and I'm not doing well. And I'm just like, I don't. And my sister is like, she's behind me on the line. She's got like freaking 50,000 things cooking at the same time. And she's like, what is the problem? And I'm like, I got this cheese board. I got this cheese board. I got this. I got this. I got this. She looks at me. She's like, you're doing a great job, and your hair looks great. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, it means shut the hell up and get to work. Like, just put your head down and go. And so ever since, even with my team now, at where I work today, anytime that I hear any type of complaining or any type of, I don't know, I get this, what do I do? And I'm like, you're doing a great job and your hair looks great. And they're like, what do you mean? And it means shut up and get to work. Like, figure it out. Like,
let's go.
So that stuff
That's
has
it.
stuck. Those lessons have stuck with me my whole life since then. And I will certainly never forget it.
And yes, your hair still does look great.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much.
So that began as something that, like, you know, Michael and I would be like, all right, we're going to change the menu. And there's like 14,000 dishes on this menu at the time. And it's just the two of us. And so it's like, all right, we're going to put the same Jay-Z or Frank Black or whatever album on repeat for the entire day. We're going to make an endless amount of samosas. We're going to change everything in 2 days. And then we're going to launch this menu at 6 o'clock on a Friday, which is nuts, right? And
By the
would
way,
do
we
this
did not sleep. We didn't sleep that night.
Ever.
It was never.
Never. Right.
Yeah.
Right. We would just go. And it was insane. Like people would just bring us, the servers would bring me chain lattes. Like Brandon, you were definitely in there as part of that, but Jess was like known for it, like menu day, bringing her a latte, which was amazing. But we would look at each other every now and again, like we'd pop our heads out of the cloud of just, what are we doing? And look at each other and be like, there's nothing you can say at that point, except for like, you know what, you're doing a great job. And you know what, your hair looks great today. Because what else can you say? And I can guarantee that 100% of the time, my hair was absolute trash. Nothing of that is true. His hair probably looked great, truly, but it's not about.
But we
looks on
were
the line.
breeding positivity at
True.
the same time, right? So your
That
hair
is
looks
true.
great. That's so
Yes.
positive.
It is so positive, even if it is a flat out lie, which I knew it was all the time. I was like, what? No, dude, no. I was telling Luke the other day, Michael, about the lobster pot sticker story. Do you remember this?
Lobster pot sticker.
Okay, so this was this dude who worked for us for like 5 minutes.
Oh fuck! Sorry. Did I just say fuck?
It's okay.
I remember this guy.
Okay,
Putting on the Ritz. Holy shit!
Wait, hang on, because I'm gonna tell the story because it's good. It's so good.
I get
All
muted
right.
all the time for not swearing.
I'm sorry, Luke. But just so you guys know, Luke and Michael, I can't see your faces, so I'm just saying. But all right, so this guy started working for me and Michael, right? We were desperate at the time. We're like, we just need help, like whatever it is. We need a body. Get a body in here. All right, so we found a body. Okay, so he comes in. I'm a girl, right? It's clear. But in the kitchen, it's not so clear because it's like super threatening. This is like, years and years ago, whatever, freaks people out. Dude comes in, he's a little bit shorter than me. He's got a Napoleon complex, whatever. He gets in there. He's like watching me and Michael interact. And he's like, how did you get to be sous chef? He asks me when Michael's not around. And I'm like, I'm good. I put my head down and cook. Like, how did you get to work here? I don't exactly know. But whatever. Anyway, so a few weeks go by that we are tolerating this dude who shows up at like 3 p.m. to like plate salads and push his weight around, whatever. I'm just tolerating it because I don't care. I'm just going to focus on my station. I'm a bit of a hothead at the time, just saying. So I'm just going to focus on my station and try not to talk to this person. Difficult in a very small kitchen. So anyway, we're working along, and this guy comes in one day and he's like, hey, so like, how do you and Michael like come up with your dishes? Do you guys like get together on the weekends and hang out? And we're both like, first of all, weekends? What? No, we work on the weekends. And second, when we are done with the week, we do not want to see the other person's face. Like, I love you, but I don't want to see you. For the next 2 days, if I could just not have you in my view, that'd be great because we spend entirely too much time together as it is. But anyway, so he asks us this and we're like, no, dude, we just like ping pong back and forth. That's how we come up with dishes. That's what happens. So one day he sends Michael a text message and is like, chef, I have an idea for a dish, right? And Michael looks at me and he's like, oh God, what do I do? Do I respond? And I'm like, no. This is well before ghosting, well before any of that stuff. There's no dating apps at the time. Okay. So the guy comes in to work and asks Michael about it, right? And Michael has this amazing ability to do this like full body turn instead of like moving just his neck. He does this full body turn when the guy comes in and is like, so chef, did you get my text message? And Michael turns and looks at me like, what do I do? Do I say something? And I'm like, I don't know, abort. Your hair looks great. Whatever. Like, just do it. I just keep chopping whatever I'm chopping. So the guy says, all right, chef, I have this idea for a dish. Here's what we're going to do. So we're going to take a pot sticker. Michael is known for making these beautiful pot stickers that are vegan. I don't know if they're on the current menu. or whatever. But anyway, they've got apricots and cabbage and star anise, and they're fantastic. And I learned how to make them from him. So the guy was making a lot of these, and he's like, we're going to take a pot sticker, right? We're going to take lobster. We're going to get in frozen lobster. We're going to put it inside of the pot sticker with some like mascarpone cheese. First of all, like cheese in an Asian dish, I'm dying. I just graduated from the CIA. I want to kill you. Like you hurt every part of my soul. But okay, fine. Also frozen lobster pieces. What are we doing? But whatever. Okay, let's let it continue. Michael's just letting it happen because that's his mode. He's just like, whatever, man, write it out. So cheese in an Asian dish. Okay, fine. Then he's like, but like I think every dish should have like a special plating. So we buy in frozen lobster shells. So we already bought in frozen lobster pieces, and now we're buying the shells separately. We couldn't just start with okay, all right, whatever. And then we lay that out on the plate, and we put the pot stickers up the top of this. And then, because I think everything should have a really fun sauce, we top this with chocolate ganache, right? Like, because that'll be really surprising. They won't expect it. Chocolate on a lobster. I can see your face, Beth, and it's exactly my reaction, except for I'm not allowed to react because I'm just chopping vegetables, and Michael's just looking at me like, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, I don't know. So then it gets worse. Oh God, I can't believe it gets worse. He's like, but I think that everything should have a really fun name. So what I'd like to do, I was researching about this chef, and I saw this like Ritz cracker crumble that this guy does. So we're going to top it off with the Ritz cracker crumble, and then we're going to call it, wait for it, Putting on the Ritz.
I love the name. I think the name is brilliant. Everything else you just said was horrible, but the name is
The
brilliant.
name, put it on the menu. That's it.
You guys! What is this?
It's brilliant.
What is this? This is horrible. Get this
I
guy
can
out of
find
here.
that guy for you,
I
and we
do
can
not
send him
wanna
down to
know.
Pure. Yeah, he's great.
Can we
He's
get him
gonna
on the
be
call
great.
right now?
Yeah, I'll call him. I'll send him your way, Luke. It's gonna be fantastic.
Oh my God. But yeah, I do not recommend the if you ever see a dish called Putting on the Ritz, run, get out now.
He's my new marketing guy.
I don't think so. I think that might be a really bad idea. But anyway, so really great times at the cellar was the point of that story. We lived through a lot together. Yeah, and I am grateful for my time there. I learned a lot about what to do, what not to do, what not to react to. A lot of that.
And that is life right there. That is living.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
That it was. All right, so we're getting to the 8 o'clock hour, which is when Chef Luke Houghton will be plating dessert. So we got about 1 minute here. Chef, are you prepared? You look relaxed.
I'm relatively prepared. It's like not that much to do. But I wanted to point out one thing, Michael. Look what we got on our shelf here.
Oh, hell yeah. Timeless. Love those guys.
Yeah,
I love those guys.
we sell those and the lentils.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
the lentils are
fantastic.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. it's a good time.
So I'm going to switch over to my videoer then.
Are you waving at me, guys? I don't know who you're waving at, but I'm waving. Anyway,
I'll wait
Classic.
too.
this is, yeah, I learned this wave from Michael, actually. Like, this is the classic. Hey,
Hey.
hi. That's
Hi.
it. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say-
Anything can be going on here. It's fine.
It's on
All right.
fire. It's fine.
The rooms are closing. They have 60 seconds to come back to the main room. So Luke, you've got 51 seconds.
Prepare yourself. You're muted.
Luke, remember what to say.
Words from Mitchell Berger. Is he talking, or
For
am
the
I just?
record, I've asked him to unmute. There he is. Okay, go ahead, Luke.
Listen, this
It's your
is all
first
new
time.
to me, all right?
You're
I
doing
got a
great.
new camera person. It's very stressful.
Yep.
We're in a pandemic.
Yeah,
Aside from all of that, are we ready to go?
I
Yes.
think. Yep, we're ready to go.
Yes.
All right, so this is a super simple plate up. So like I thought I would just talk a little bit more about the dish. If everyone wants to put their stuff in the oven, if they prefer it hot, 5 to 6 minutes is probably enough time. So this dish was inspiring that we normally do anyways. It's not always vegan, but I kind of just was like, well, rhubarb's in season, and what can we do with it? I got some other input of raisins, so it developed along the way. And in true form, like this is how I do everything, is I just put the idea on paper and then get to like a week away and go, oh shit, how am I gonna make that? Especially things out like all the things we were going for, gluten-free and vegan. So about a week ago, I was like, oh shit, how am I gonna make that? And I was super inspired by the Mitchell Burger about the flour for this, which seemed like a perfect match at the time, which I never even really thought of. So what we did for the crust is we ground just rolled oats through the flour mill, and then I just made it the same way I would normally make it with regular flour, with a little bit of shortening, coconut oil, and vanilla. And then I used Farmer Street Pantry mincemeat pureed as like the binder for the egg portion of it. And then the center portion, which is rhubarb, raisins, and some local strawberries. The rhubarb, Neil Miller hooked this up with a person who I didn't even know existed. They're like, 7 miles from here. And I was like, I need 30 pounds of rhubarb. And she's like, I'll have it ready in an hour. And she picked it and we got it that day and made it. It was great. And her name is Barb Zimmerman on Fort Byron, New York. And then the top is made just like a simple streusel with some coconut oil, more oats, some brown sugar, and just a pinch of salt. So super simple, but I think it really brings out the flavor of the rhubarb and the strawberries and the raisins, and matches super with that cider too. So then of course I said, all right, well, I always make this strawberry mousse, but I use cream cheese in it. And I get to the week before and I'm like, oh, how am I gonna do this? So I started with coconut milk, like the top of it. And I just pulled these ingredients together so you could see them. We basically skimmed the fatty part off the top, so it's a little thicker and it sets when it's cold. And then I took puree of strawberries and we mixed those two together. And then I also, a super cool ingredient that normally, within the last few years I've been using it, but other than that, I never even knew what it was. These are chia seeds, and they're totally a superfood. A lot of people eat them every day just because they absorb a lot of water and nutrients and they help with your digestive tract.
So they actually absorb 10 times their mass in water and form a little sac around themselves. So they are jelly-like, almost like tapioca.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
They set at room temperature too.
Yes.
So there's two reasons to use them: for health benefits, of course, and then for setting a mousse like this one. Like I literally mixed this up like 5 minutes ago, and you can see the consistency of it is set. But we just combine those three ingredients in the blender, puree it until smooth, and then just let it set, and you get the same texture. So for plate up, once you're warm, or I actually like it cold too. The next day is probably even better. We're gonna go right in the center, and then I'm gonna sneak over here and grab a spoon.
Hey, Anne, can you get a little closer to where Luke is, so we can see a little bit more? I know that those tables are beautiful and that he built them by hand. But
that was the whole reason of being over here. I'm like, oh, now we just use these for shipping.
I know. He did build those tables by hand, but I would love to see more of the food.
So you want to zoom in?
Yes, please.
Either if you can walk closer or zoom the camera in, either way. But yeah, let's get closer to that plate.
So we'll just get a little bit of the strawberry mousse on there, and then sometimes it's nice to let it fall on the plate, and you can do even a swoosh. And I literally, on the way here, I was like, this thing really needs a garnish. So I went in my yard and picked some flowers.
Of course you did. Of course.
Which is a totally neat thing for people to do, because there's so many edible flowers out there that are readily available in people's yards.
But how do you know which ones are edible?
Well, Google it for one. But also, So this is we have a thing in our kitchen here. We call it urban foraging. So we'll go out and like walk over to the Citizen and grab some lavender or like, you know, people's landscaping and steal a few edible flowers, nasturtiums and things like that. So there's definitely lots of edible items out there that people don't even know, even in their landscape. Lilies are edible. Bachelor's buttons, snapdragons, any flowering herbs are edible. I would say
So you guys
most
know-
wildflowers are edible.
Luke is a flower guy, which it's a bond that we have. We don't
Have
talk
you
about
noticed?
it, but he's a flower guy. Yeah. So, all right, Luke, are you? Is that dish plated? Because there's this
This-
question that I've been meaning to ask you.
This dish is plated. So I'm gonna switch over then.
Okay. All right. So you go ahead and switch over. That's awesome, Sarah.
Like
I
that.
don't know that pansies are necessarily the most edible or tasty of the edible ones.
They're
But
not the
whatever, like,
tastiest, but they are edible.
they're pretty.
They're very
Uh,
floral.
The big thing is like what people put on the flowers, like as far as pesticides. That's what I would be concerned about. Not that anyone
Well,
should be worried
I
about
didn't
that.
do that
but
in my
whatever.
yard.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, don't just go to a garden. Like, here, I'm at this state park and I'm gonna pick. You don't know what people.
No, what
spray
I
on that.
learned from this conversation is trial and error on any edible flowers is exactly what Luke told me to do. So I'll be back. I have to
It's
go.
better than mushrooms.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
Can somebody post the poison control number in the chat?
Yeah,
just in case?
exactly.
I am
Listen, if we're
concerned.
worried
I am
about edible
concerned.
flowers right now, I don't think that's the biggest issue.
Yes, Dining Inside Out is not liable for any actions taken outside of this.
Don't
You eat
drink
anything
bleach
that wasn't
when you're
in the
gonna eat
box,
flowers.
not on us. Sorry.
When's the cannabis edible Dining Inside Out
Yeah.
coming?
We could talk about it later. All right, so Luke, you have always been a vegetable forward chef. It is one of our Brandon. You have always been a vegetable forward chef. It's one of the things that we, like stand united on from a philosophy point of view, and it's one of the things that I both love and respect about you as a chef. But word on the street is that you've been eating a certain kind of way, maybe committing to a certain sort of lifestyle since January. Did you want to come out about that?
I guess this is the place to do it, right?
I mean,
I
I think you're in a
started
safe
eating-
space.
Yeah, so I started eating plant-based in January. It started off as like a challenge that people had hired us to cook for. It was a 10-day thing, and then like I was like, wow, I feel so much better as a person, and just health-wise, it's not completely an animal thing for me, although I do love animals. But
Oh,
what
hang
is
on.
it? The
There we go.
He's
Yeah,
good.
we did.
No, we're good.
so I just felt better as a human being, like from a health standpoint, and I've continued it since then.
I think it's really funny because last year I was like, yeah, we should do more vegan food. And he would laugh at me. And now he's vegan. And I'm like I come to the restaurant and we're just going to have chickpeas and I'm in, like, I'll do it, whatever. But a year ago, you were mocking
Well,
me. I just
You,
want you to know.
you got to remember, I come at it from a business standpoint, and like we're in a blue collar town.
True. But you say that and
We
I
do
mean,
well.
yeah,
on both
right,
ends.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think keep rolling with it. And obviously, like, eat the way you want to eat and eat what feels best for you. I think you've been a nicer person since you've been plant-based. Not that you weren't nice before, but
Ooh, shots fired. My
slightly
God.
nicer.
Across
Slightly
the
nicer.
bow.
All right. So we're going to open the tables back up for you to go and enjoy your dessert if you would like to. If you are planning on staying in the main dining room, sorry, distracted. Anyway, if you're planning on staying in the main dining room, this is your COVID scoreboard. I'm so distracted. I'm bad at multiple chats, clearly. But if you're planning on staying in the main dining room, what we're going to do is have a live Q&A with the chefs. So we're going to stay and hang out and answer questions. So if you had questions during the during this whole thing, or if there's something that has popped up that you just want to ask us about, this is that time. If you want to raise your hand and we will unmute you and then you can speak, or you can put your question in the chat and we'll answer it from there. But you're also welcome to go back to your own tables and hang out and chat with friends. Once the Q&A is over, we will open all of the tables up and they will remain open until, I don't know, I think whenever, 1 in the morning, whatever, till you're done. So continue to drink your wine, enjoy your cocktails, taste whatever might be left in those dishes, and enjoy each other. Focus on the connection here. And yes, so thank you so much. We will share the dessert recipe, except for I have to get it out of Luke, which is the most challenging part of this entire dinner.
I got it.
Do you? Do you have
Sort
that?
of.
Someone asked, so I feel like you need to follow through on that.
Chris Johnson has raised his hand and I believe wants to ask a question, unless he
Chris
did it by
Johnson.
accident.
No, I did not. I wanted to follow proper protocol this time instead of just coming off mute like a
We love you. Thank you.
rude guy. I wanted to go back to Drew and the conversation around jackfruit. There was, when it's when it's very ripe, it's sweet. The difference of how might you use ripe jackfruit in that way, and also I feel like a lot of times where I've seen jackfruit has either been in like a bulgogi style dish or a barbecue dish, but what does young jackfruit taste like on its own pre seasoning or flavoring?
So on its own, it honestly doesn't really have much flavor. It's more just about the texture. Kind of has that like pulled pork kind of texture. But one other thing that I do with it a lot is I'll actually make crab cakes with it. So you can just boil the jackfruit and then shred it up, and then you use it as if you would like a jumbo lump crab meat. And you can basically just use any crab cake recipe and make a crab cake. And then with the ripe jackfruit, I've only ever worked with one time. And I tried to make a barbecue with it just to see how it would turn out. And it was just way too sweet. And like it doesn't break down the same way that the young jackfruit does. It's like a completely different product when it's ripe. So I'm not really too knowledgeable on what I would do with a ripe jackfruit other than just eat it as a snack. But yeah.
Cool. So you're saying like the young jackfruit is more of like a flavor sponge that you could do really like whatever you want for it, whatever you want with it, but you're just mainly using it as the textural replacement for, pork products or something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would compare it to like almost like an artichoke, or like a canned artichoke, I should say.
Chad, you can turn me back on. I agree with
heart
the
or
artichoke.
The heart or the leaves? Other
Kind of a combination. Like it's mostly the heart, I would say. So fruit is in general starts as starch and converts to sugar over time. And as things convert to sugar, it's something, this happens in reverse in vegetables, but anyway, so as jackfruit ripens, you get basically ethylene gas that comes off of it, and it changes the texture on the inside as the molecules change. So you get completely different texture. It does become actually more spongy and sort of more like lychee to me when it's like sweet tasting. Texturally, it becomes more like lychee. Which is not something that I would ever compare to like a barbecue. I wouldn't want to barbecue lychee. I mean, I don't know. It might be the next big thing. Don't quote me. But that's how I see it, as over time that starch converts to sugar, totally changes the texture. It's much harder to flavor something that is naturally super sweet, and jackfruit is when it's ripe. So it would be like, to me, like flavoring, like trying to make barbecue out of cantaloupe?
It's like the difference between green papaya and regular papaya.
Yes, very similar.
concept.
Yes. Okay. Other questions at this point? I missed the chat there for a second, so I don't know if we have anything sitting in there.
No, I don't think. Other than Mark trying to get Luke to give up the dessert recipe. Otherwise, no.
Yeah. Trying to get Luke to write down any recipe is really a challenge. So I'm with you on that.
For Carrie, what's a good, I didn't have the beer pairing for the jackfruit course, but you know, in a situation like that for barbecue, Carrie and Drew, what are your favorite beers to pair with either the jackfruit itself or barbecue in general, whether it's IPA or Pilsner or whatever it might be?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I would say it really depends on the type of beer people like for a style. So you can absolutely pair many different styles of beer with barbecue. Pilsners, lagers. Lagers are very common kinds of beer styles to pair with a barbecue. And also if people like IPAs, if you like a hoppier beer, IPAs pair well as well. So it just depends on the type of barbecue you're going to have. And it really depends on the style of beer you like. So there's multiple styles of beer that would go well with barbecue.
I think that to piggyback off of that, I think that it depends on the style of barbecue, like what part of the South are you trying to replicate? If you're going for more of a like North Carolina vinegary, high heat kind of style, then I would recommend a lager because they're more sweeter and maltier, and that rounds out the dish a little bit better. But if you're going for something that's more Texas, like sweet sticky barbecue sauce, I would go IPA because I would want the citrus or the pine, the hops to cut through that sweetness personally. So I think it depends on which region you go for.
Yeah,
and honestly, there's a lot of personal taste that's involved there as well. Some people are IPA people and that's what they really want. Some people are lager, some people are ale. So barbecue can match up with many different beer styles. It depends on the taste of the barbecue and it depends on the taste of the person and their personal beer styles. Mm-hmm. So if you are an IPA person, it's very different if you're just a lager person and you don't like hops. There's a lot of different options and we provide all of them. So you can match up a barbecue to many different beer styles.
Awesome.
I totally agree.
Yeah, thank you.
So beer pairings don't need to necessarily be taken as seriously as a wine pairing because it is so much, I don't want to say it's less complex because it isn't, but it's just, you can be a little more free with it.
Shots fired.
It's not complex. It's not less complex to make the beer. It's a pain in the ass. 100%. But what I can tell you is that everybody has a different style of the style that they like. So some people like different styles and you can match different styles with different pairings of barbecue. So what I would say is that, you know, it's not, it's the same amount of work to make each type of beer. And there's a million people out there in our world and a million people with a million different taste differences. And you can match different beers with different barbecues. Absolutely.
Love it.
What kind of
choice?
What kind of beer would you pair with a Coolicle?
With a what?
No.
With a Coolicle.
The Kool-Aid pickle. We're back to that. Here we were with like organic chickpeas from like Timeless and like Luke showing the farro. And Drew's like, I just couldn't cook without integrity, man. And there's Chris Johnson with like Kool-Aid pickle.
No. I did the research. The internet is always right. I did the research. You could also use pomegranate juice or other juices and not artificial.
I respect that.
Running through a wall. Like, we're good.
Because the Kool-Aid,
right, man. Whatever you got to do, yo.
I have a question for Carrie. Can you tell us more about the barn?
What's up?
I want to learn more about the barn.
Okay, so the barn here was built in 1959, and it was a dairy barn in 1959. It has not seen cows for 35 years. We bought the barn. I'm 50% owner, so I bought the barn with my husband 6 years ago. And what we did was renovate over 2 years, and then I was a construction manager for 2 years, which was phenomenal. It was a good time. So I'm a plumber by trade, which was a lot of fun. It took many years out of my life, and there were good years, good and bad. And that's how things go. So this barn was a dairy barn. It's beautiful. We had somebody come in that's a engineer to go look at it and tell us, yes, it's structurally stable. And it was 2 years of renovations on it, which I ran. And we've been open for about 4 years. So it's really unique. Hasn't seen cows for 35 years. And the upstairs was just hay and straw storage for decades. And then we bought the barn and renovated it over 2 years, and we've been open for 4 years. And now we've taken the milk out of things and we've gone to beer. So now
I would really love it if Jess could take us into the bathrooms, because I think that's worth looking
Jess,
at.
you want to take us into the
Can
bathroom?
you just take a tour of the bathrooms? Not that I think that that's a normal thing in any other space, but you guys need to see the bathrooms.
Phone's disconnected. We'll take the laptop downstairs.
Okay, perfect. All right. It's so worth it.
We'll do first person view.
Love it. Love it. So Carrie did all the plumbing in this building, which makes her a total superhero in my mind, because I am the most mechanically challenged person you've ever met in your life. It's just not what I do. All right, so cows, bulls.
Let's do cows first. All right.
Cows first, definitely cows first. Yeah. Okay, so this is the sink, everyone. We could just, make this happen. Oh yeah, classic. Down a little bit so we can see the bowl there, Drew. There you go. Love it, right? This is good. It's a milking bucket. Okay, beautiful. I laughed when I saw this, like a light chuckle. Like, this is nice. And then she was like, did you go in the men's room? And I'm like, no, why would I go in the men's room? Like, what? Ew. And then I saw this. And this was entertaining. Vastly entertaining. Yes. So well done. Getting this, chat? Do you see that? Do you get it? Have you had wine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wine has happened.
Wine has happened. Oh, it's awesome.
Back upstairs we go.
Love it.
So they must have do some foundation work there, huh?
I mean, sure.
I know she poured an all new concrete floor and it's got radiant heat in it. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, that's cool. That's super cool.
Here she is.
Awesome. Well, hello. That was a beautiful bathroom tour. Best bathroom tour we've ever had on Dining Inside Out. So thank you for that.
Also the first.
First and probably the only. I mean, really.
Let's hope so.
The only bathroom tour ever? Are you serious?
On Dining Inside Out. I mean, we had goats last time, but this time a bathroom tour. It was worth it.
Well, I
appreciate
seriously hope that there will be more to come.
it.
Not just me.
I'm about to go in the bathroom.
All right. So at this time, we're going to wrap things up and allow people to go back to their tables. Unless anybody has a burning question for the chefs, but we just want you guys to hang out with each other and enjoy each other. Keep forging those connections. And thank you so much. This whole dinner would not be possible without Chef Luke Houghton and all the things that he makes possible just by being Luke and his team, and to all the people, to Drew and Carrie, to Michael and Ellen, for your bottomless patience. I appreciate you. To Chad, thank you so much for hanging and doing all the things with us. To Brandon out in California, thank you for participating and being here. So much love for doing a giveaway. Love. And yes, thank you so much to everybody that was here. It's good to see faces that I haven't seen in forever. And cheers. Thank you.
Salute.
Yes. Cheers. Love.
If anybody
So Chad-
has a table, the tables are open. So, and some folks have already gone. If anybody has a group that they want to sit at a table with, I've got plenty of extra tables that I've created. I can assign people. We can all continue to hang out in here and just get drunk. That's also acceptable. Up to you guys.
We can move the crew to the chef's table when we're ready to do that.
But you should say we'll be around for a while if anybody does have any questions going forward.
Yes, true. We will hang for a bit. So questions, comments, all the things. There's only a smaller number of people. So if you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to chat. It's all good. Free for all. So the bonus of doing a plant-based dinner with fewer people is the free for all aspect.